Well, I think the thing that we're always working to improve on is the turnovers. We got to continue to, make sure we secure it. We had 2 last week that, those are game-changing plays. So that's something that we definitely are going to focus on. And then I think one of the things I do like is just some of the diversity we have. In terms of our go-to guys who we have the ability to get the ball to. We're using a lot of different players, and a lot of guys have catches, a lot of guys have runs. There's the ball's being spread around. That's something that I like.
How much just having 4 regular season games, you be able to figure out what your offense is as opposed to the preseason and the off-season workouts, just live combat at full speed? How valuable is that?
Yeah, it's really valuable because in the preseason we don't get to play our guys. Matthew's not playing with the line, the receivers, and all those guys were never together. So hoping that you can start fast, that you can have a start fast to the season. But offense does take time. But I just I like the fact that how each and every game I think we've gotten a little bit better, and you never have everything fixed. You're always trying to to correct things, and it's a work in progress.
And how valuable is it just to the guys playing and then you being able to evaluate them too based on what you see them?
Yeah, I mean that's our business. We're an evaluation business, and we're doing it every practice that we have, every game that we have, and we're trying to make sure that we're staying on top of the little things and coaching the little details, and I think our guys are coming through for us.
Beyond the turnovers, is just more consistency in the run blocking really the next thing to take in this offense to the next level?
Yeah, I think we talked. I don't know who I'm talking to on that press conference on the phone, but whoever I was talking to, we talk about. We were kind of one guy away, and we had 10, 11 guys doing pretty good job, and we needed all 11 working together. And I think you could see that last week. I think we did a much better job in the run game. We averaged over 5 yards a rush in that game, and so I thought our guys did a really good job of taking the message and really working on it. And I like the mix that we were able to have because of it.
It seems like you've got some good guys on the interior there. I'm curious specifically what you've seen with Ragnar and Glasgow. It seems like those guys have played.
Yeah, I really like the way all 5 of them are playing together. They've done a great job. We went 2 weeks without a sack against really some quality opponents with some quality edge rushers. So that's a really feather in their cap for those guys. But it takes the whole group. I kind of talk about the line because of how well that they played, and Crosby stepped in and did a great job for us during that time as well. But it's the guys getting open on time. It's the quarterback getting the ball out on time as well. It's moving the protections around, and I think that the guys were able to handle that and did a great job with it.
Ragnar had a pretty good season. It seemed like a guard, but it seems really good at center. I'm just curious what it is about his game or his body or whatever that really lends itself to center.
Well, he has those leadership qualities about him, and I think he's a good leader. I think he's smart in terms of being able to run the offense for us from the center point, and him and Matthew work really well together, and so we're having Frank doing as much as he can, and obviously the quarterback always has Trump, and they're just doing a good job of running it for us.
I had a question about Matthew. I know it's quarter point in the season, and these things may change, but one of the stats he's leading is air yards per attempt, so throwing longer per attempt than anybody in the league. It's not, I guess, what we tend to think of with the West Coast offense. Is that you just kind of play into his strengths and him finding his strengths within your scheme?
Yeah, probably a little bit of both. I think there's things that we're trying to do. I like our group of of skilled players that we have, and trying to find different ways to get them the ball, really all over the field. But when you have a running game the way that we are hoping to have, and like we had last week, then it lends itself to be able to have opportunities down the field, and that's what we're trying to do. When we, I think I talked about it one of the first weeks that we're trying to be explosive in our pass game, and that's the way to do it.
How important is the yards per attempt stat? I've heard some people say that's one of the more important indicators because the higher it is, the more you'll be able to dictate throwing when you want to throw, not when you have to throw.
I'm not exactly sure how I would rate the stat, but it's important to push the ball down the field, no question. Because sometimes it's really hard in this league to get 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, and put that many plays together to be able to to finish with a touchdown. And your percentages go way up to score points when you have an explosive play in the drive, and so it's critical to be able to try to push the ball down the field.
Just, I guess, generally speaking, how do you think Stafford's playing in the first quarter? His handle on the offense.
Well, gutty performance this last week. He was he just really did a phenomenal job of running the offense for us, and then fighting through the things that he was working with, and just I mean his toughness is unquestioned, and I thought he was kind of a warriorish mentality in that game. He played really well. He's playing really well. We have 2 turnovers, in interceptions, and we did lose a fumble as well. So that's something that we're still working to make sure that we can correct.
Stats are a weird thing because they tell such a small part of the story.
Right.
What are the metrics, I guess, that you look at, a game or a course of a season that are important to you that are indicative of success on that?
Wins. That's I mean wins. It's good to be high in those in all the areas. I mean, we want to be good in the red zone. We want to be good on third down. We want to run the football. We want to be explosive. Those are the things that we want to be able to do. But bottom line is if you win 2-0 or you win 51 to 45, it doesn't matter. It's just the statistic that matters is winning.
Let's carry on the last couple of weeks really quickly if you can, if needed. I've asked to be kind of that bell cow kind of back, 26-20 carries, especially last week did really well with it.
Yeah, I thought last week was his best game that he's played for us, and and I'm saying since I've been here, he was very decisive with his runs. He was running with a physical style, and he was really doing a good job of trying to get the 4 yards, so to speak, that you're looking for, and then whatever else that he can get. And I thought he was like I said, very decisive and very physical.
How do you get guys like Hall and McKissick that play limited roles and give you big time protection, limited snaps? How does that add to your offense?
Well, I mean, it's huge. You're always looking for explosive playmakers. Excuse me. I think both of those guys are that way. They're both very explosive, and you have to be able to find ways to get the ball in those guys' hands. But we have also Marvin Kenny and TJ and Logan and Jesse James and a lot of guys to be able to try to get, and it's a good problem to have right now.
With Hawkinson, the first game, the touchdown. In the last game, more limited production in the middle. I'm just curious what you thought of his performance and maybe how much of the limited production there in a couple of games maybe had to do with blocking assignments.
Yeah, he had kind of had a really big breakout game, his first game, and then probably a little inconsistent in the next couple of games, and he did much better in this, in the fourth game. So, it's going to be some of the growing pains as a young player, but we love what he's doing, and we're going to continue to count on him to come through for us.
And I'm not sure what you can say about the injury he's going through, but what concern do you have, just with the health, his health at this point?
Really, no concerns. I mean, the medical staff and those guys are going to take care of that, and when they say he's good to go, then he's good to go.
You weren't around Kenny his first couple of years. Just what have you seen from him, and when guys get into their third years, not just the route concepts, understanding what defenses want to do, is that part where he's kind of maybe taking the next step?
Yeah, I think Kenny's doing a nice job. He's made a few really big contested catches for us. I think that catch that he made, I mean, it was a really tight window that Matthew was able to throw that ball in. But there's a lot of traffic, and that ball's going through a lot of stuff to be able to have that focus and be able to make that play. So that was a big play for us as well. But I do see him improving. I see it's kind of hard to measure since I wasn't here before, but it's kind of hard to measure how much of it is that he's just being able to understand what we're asking him to do, and how much of it is that he's improving as the player, because I think those can kind of go together sometimes, and so I really like the progression that he's going through right now and where he's at for us.
You talked about that throw. You talked about that throw. You've been around a lot of really great quarters, but sometimes when you watch the film, are you kind of amazed at some of the throws? Even that one that Matthew threw when you looked at it, that window, so small.
Yeah.
Do you sit back there and get amazed sometimes at some of the windows?
Oh, there's, and not only that one. The one of the more impressive throws that I think he made was the one that he threw to Danny on the sideline in the Philly game where Danny tapped his toes. But if you just watch the anticipation of when he's letting go of the ball, the spot that he put it in, he's getting a little bit of pressure, but when he's letting the ball go, I mean, Danny's not even close to, and to be able to, just the anticipation that he has. The same thing on that throw, it's the anticipation, but then the accuracy with which he put it in as well. So some of those are kind of awe-inspiring throws and plays.
good in the red zone. What are some specific ways you think you guys can still improve there?
Well, I think we were doing well, but we turned the ball over 2 times. We turned it over twice inside the 10, and you're going to have issues when you do that.
So, I don't know, maybe they asked you this already, but you guys have a little bit of success out of that trips formation or that bunch formation early the other day. Can you just explain why that's tough on defenses? What you guys are doing out of that?
Well, I mean, it was kind of a game plan, more of a game plan thing in that game than, we've used it a little bit, but it was just things that we saw on tape that we wanted to try to take advantage of. And we used different players. We were moving JD, but we also had Marvin Hall in there as well and moved him. And don't want to go into all the details, but it ended up being good for us.
That was just your script that you saw something that you wanted
Yes.
to take.
Yeah.
What,
And then you still have to be able to, you can't just do one thing out of it. So you have to try to, come up with more things to do. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And last week, the touchdown pass to Galladay, it's kind of become a buzzy thing on Twitter. There's some Orlovsky and some guys are breaking it down. You can see from the coaches, all 22, you can see throwing it to 4 guys, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, the one we were just talking about?
one we
Yeah.
just talked about.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I'm just curious, your
He's got a better one for you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And what was the question?
Your breakdown of that play.
We were just talking a little bit about, those type of plays that Matthew has the ability to do. One, I think it was the anticipation that he had of, obviously knowing. There's so much trust that you have to have, and he knew exactly where Kenny was going to be, how he was going to get there, and then the anticipation to throw it, but then also the I don't know, is it called courage or whatever to fit it in there, and the accuracy that he was able to have to get it in that window. Very highly impressive play. Yeah.
What's the better one you have?
You
said there's
The Amendola.
Yeah, so I just talked about, I talked about one of the other ones that I think is really impressive was his anticipation on the throw in the Philly game where he hit Danny on our right sideline, the third down. If you watch when he's letting go of that ball, where Danny is and the location that he put it and the time that he let it go is, those are impressive plays, and sometimes it just looks like a completion. But, it for us, it's like, that can't go unnoticed. It was a pretty big time play.
In the Philly game, you had a couple more to Marv.
Yeah, even the one where he hit Marv on the crosser. They're in zero pressure, so there's a free guy. He has to know who the free guy is, and it ended up being Sendejo coming through the middle and being able to hold him off long enough to be able to make the throw and put it in a location that only he could get it and know where he's going and how much time he had to be able to get that done. Those are all big time plays.
We've seen Stafford do that before, but he's in his first quarter of the season in the new offense.
Right.
Are you, impressed, surprised at all by his ability to have that anticipation?
No, not that. I've been highly impressed with him since I've been here, and I've been very impressed with just I think his how much he just really immersed himself into the playbook and learning everything. I think I've said it before, but the West Coast offense can be really wordy and stepping into the huddle. He's never missed a beat. He's barely even had to ask for the play twice, and he doesn't stumble over the words. He knows it, so it just tells me how committed and how much time that he put into doing that. And I think that's what he showed me how impressive he is. And then, so when you're able to do that, then you can spend all your time like thinking about the other side and what the defense is doing, because he knows our stuff, and so he can manipulate the protections. He can worry about what the defensive looks are giving him, and then he can have that anticipation, and he's not a tickler.
It sounds like the intelligence is one thing that's impressive. So,
Really impressive.
When you're around, you see him on tape, the strong arm and everything else.
Yep.
But until you come here and get to know him and work with him.
You know some of his physical attributes from afar. We always know that he has the gunslinger mentality, that he has strong arm, can make basically any throw that he wants to make. He can change his arm angle, make any throw, but it's the other stuff, it's the intangibles that if you're not inside the building that you can't really appreciate and that you really don't know about. And whether it's the time he spends just studying himself, how he interacts with his teammates, how important the game is to him, all those things you don't know until you're here.
Darrell, you might have already been asked this, and I apologize if you have, but how encouraged have you been with the offense in the first 4 weeks?
I really like where we're at. and it's just, at the measuring stick in this first quarter poll. I mean, we've done good offensively, but it doesn't mean anything. And I just said earlier that the bottom line is getting the wins, and we have 2, and we need a lot more. And so we're going to continue to work to be able to get there.
This is obviously a big week for self-evaluation. I don't know how deep you guys
Mm-hmm.
are into that, but what's one thing you like about what you're doing on offense, and one thing that you really need to fix at this point?
Well, I said earlier, is turnovers is the one thing that we really need to fix, is make sure we get that. I mean, last week's game changed because of that. And then the thing I think that we're doing the best, I think, is just our versatility, with our guys. I mean, there's, if you play us, I think you have to worry about a lot of things. There's a lot of players that we get the ball to. We don't just hone in on one guy. The ball's being spread around to the wideouts, to the tight ends, to the running backs, and I think that makes us better.
Defenses were loading the box quite a bit the first 3 weeks. I'm just curious if you were surprised at all by that. I know you wanted to run the ball coming into the year and everything, but you go out there, and you're seeing a ton of guys up
Right.
front.
Did not surprise me, no. Yeah.
You did lean on Marvin, I think, a little more heavier in the Kansas City game to kind of handle some of that, not in-line blocking, but close to the line blocking. How important, I guess, are your receivers in that role of contributing, I guess, close to the line of scrimmage?
Well, they're big factors, and really we talk about it all the time. And RP does a great job with our receivers. That in the run game, they're the guys that really spring the explosive plays. They're that second level blockers. We were using those guys at the line. I don't know if you guys saw. We ended up the play that was a sack fumble, but if you saw. They got negated because they held Kenny, but if you saw Kenny's block, it was a protection. He chipped the end and knocked the end down. So we asked those guys to do a lot, and they really love to do it. They don't mind doing the dirty work, and that's really impressive from those guys that usually want to just catch balls, and but they're an integral part of the run game, and we really talk about that.
When you do use those guys and put them on the inside, that I guess is one way to kind of prevent them from stacking the box just from a personnel matching standpoint, correct?
Yeah, I mean, just where they can put their safeties and proximity, it just helps us to be able to get to them, and try to play more even football, so so to speak, so that they don't always have the numbers.
And one thing that you're going to kind of evaluate, maybe hope to improve moving forward.
Well, I think that I really like how hard we play. I think we play with really good effort, and we've been in tough games and we've competed. So you like how hard they play, you like how hard they compete. So that's a real positive thing, to build on. Come back, we get into like a 12-game stretch. So it'll be a long haul when we get back. So finishing the first quarter, we wish we could have done a little better, obviously. So really like that. If there's one thing that I had to say, we need to improve on, it would be, the details, the fundamentals. There's an old saying, when I was in school, Coach Paterno used to say, if you take care of the little things, the big things take care of themselves, And, when you're a player, young player, sometimes that goes in one ear and out the other. But that's a very, very true statement, especially in this game with the margin of error being like almost zero. It's about like that, So if there's one thing I think we've got to really focus on and, pay attention to, I think it's that. It's not, it's just individual technique, fundamentals, and it always seems to come back to that to me. So I think that's it.
Paul, you've had some unique rush trends to start the season. I think you're blitzing maybe fewer than any team, somewhere toward the bottom, but you're also rushing just 3 men more than anyone. Is this you guys getting ahead of a defensive curve? Because it seems like it's successful in terms of limiting what quarterbacks are doing against you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's, each week, your game plan each week, it's based on, what you're seeing is probably going to be a little different. I think in all honesty, I think it's probably worked out that way, you know. But we're certainly capable. You know, we're certainly capable of rushing 4, 5, 6. We're certainly capable of max splits and that type of thing. You know, and we're prepared, you know, based on the game plan. I think we can do any of those things. I think we can do them pretty well. I just think it's the way it's worked out so far.
Why has it worked out this way? Like, is there something, and why, especially maybe like late in the game, did you prefer to rush 3 instead of? You know,
Well, I think there's, you know, there are so many, you know, good players on the field that we just felt that in that moment that was our best shot. You know, that's probably the only reason. You know, I just felt at that moment, you know, let's make one more play. You know, let's make one play, win the game in the fourth quarter. At the end of the fourth quarter, you know. So that would be the only reason I would, you know, it comes to my mind. I didn't, to tell you the truth, I haven't really thought about it, you know, to be honest with you. Sometimes you live by the sword, you die by the sword, you know. I've probably been in that boat a few times, you know. So you're just trying to do, you know, you're just trying to do what you think you need to do to win, that's all.
This is a pass-first league, though. I mean, it has kind of developed into that, and you guys are kind of limiting quarterback efficiency, opposing quarterback efficiency, I think. So would you say what you're doing right now has been, I guess, successful in your eyes?
I think it's got us to, in each game, it's got us to probably the last possession of the fourth quarter, you know, and against the quality of teams we're playing, I think that, sure, you'd like to be ahead, you know, you'd like to have a couple touchdown lead and, you know, a couple little things here and there, and we may have been able to enjoy that luxury, you know, but so it's gotten us into that deal where you have a chance to win the game, and I think that's, you know, kind of what you're trying to do.
This might be a version of the same question, but the quarterback rating you guys are allowing is the second best in the league. I'm curious why you think that is. I know it's a reciprocal thing between the defensive line, puts the pressure on the quarterback. Obviously, the secondary playing well.
So explain that to me. Second best in the league. What does that
The
mean?
quarterback rating that you guys are allowing quarterbacks, and you face some good quarterbacks, you know, Rivers and Mahomes
Yeah.
and so forth. But the quarterback rating that you're allowing is second best. And I'm curious just why you think you've had some success limiting the efficiency that the quarterbacks are using.
Meaning the quarterbacks are struggling, or the quarterbacks
right,
are
exactly.
having a field day?
No,
second worst, second lowest.
No, I got it. I'm only teasing. I got it. I got it. Well, you know, I guess what we've done is, I guess when you put it that way, I guess what we've done has been fairly, you know, fairly successful. It doesn't mean that we're going to continue to go that way. It just means that it's the way we've gone so far, you know. And there's so many good quarterbacks, and we're seeing another good one here as we come up, right? Hall of Fame kind of guy. So that's no box of chocolates, so right. So we'll have to figure out what we're going to do there. You know? I don't know.
What is Justin Coleman brought to the defense, and what does it mean to be good inside of that nickel spot? How important is that to the defense?
Oh, it's important. You know, it's really important. He's lining up on really good inside receivers all the time. You know, and he really competes. You know, you guys see it. Plays hard. You know, and we started the conversation by, you know, what do you like about what you're seeing? And playing hard and competing, that guy competes. You know, he competes hard. So that's meant a lot, I think, and you know, I think reflective of how hard the guys are working, you know, across the board.
I wanted to ask you about your safety depth. You've got 4 guys now that you're playing pretty extensively, just, you know, whether it's game plan or injury situation.
Right.
But when you have, I guess, those hybrid positions that can play the rush and cover and maybe even rush the passer situationally, like, how much flexibility does that give you when you're constructing a game plan?
Yeah, it does. You know, it gives you flexibility. you know, in this day and age, safety's got to be able to cover, you know, nifty tight ends and wide receivers. So, and I gave you the Tabucky Jones story. You know, I told you about Al Davis and Tabucky Jones, and you know what that kind of safety means to your defense. You know, so you know it's nice to have 4 safeties. All I know is the other night Diggs got hurt. We were down to 3 awful quick, and I was saying to yourself, one more guy gets hurt here, we might have a problem. You know, and so it seems like it's a lot, but that can kind of evaporate in a heartbeat. You know, so those guys are good. You know, they're good to have. You know, Tracy and Will Harris is getting better. We threw CJ in there the other night, you know. So they're good. They're good young guys. You know, they're good developmental guys. And, you know, they just need to play. And they just need to gain experience. You know.
It seems like Will is getting you guys' trust. Maybe not playing as much at the start now, a lot more. I'm just curious.
Right.
I'm just curious what sort of development you've seen from Will.
Yeah. He's a very good athlete. You know, he's an explosive guy. He's prepares very well. He really prepares hard. It's really important to him. He cares a lot. So, you know, and we need the depth at the position. You know, and fortunately, he's a bigger physical guy. You know, who can come down and support the run, like you're saying, and he's got pretty good, you know, deep field skills. You can put him in the deep part of the field, and you know, he's going to do pretty well back there too. So, you know, he's just got to keep playing. We just got to get him in the game and just keep developing.
When it goes back a couple of weeks, really quickly on Harris, but the Philadelphia game, you had him out there on that last 4th and 15.
Right.
I mean, at that point, I think it's like his 50th snap of the season.
Yeah.
You know, probably went through some inconsistencies all through camp and preseason. Like, what spurs you to put him in a big moment and to trust a young player like that?
Well, it was at that particular moment, and what we decided to do. You know, he was on the field, so we weren't going to change it because it was the last play. I mean, we had gone through that prior to that play, you know. So we trust him, you know, you know. And I think you can trust he's going to do everything he can do to be where he needs to be when he needs to be there. And, you know, Rashawn had to make that play, you know, but Will was the first one over there to congratulate him, you know. So we're just, you know, I think when you get players that work hard, they're consistent each day, day in and day out. They're the same guy, day in and day out. I think probably like in your business, you know, you start to trust the guy. So he's got a ways to go, you know, but he's going in the right direction.
What does Deshaun Hand add to your defense up front when he eventually comes
Yeah,
back? And how much have you guys missed him?
Yeah. Well, he's another big, good athlete, you know, who's can, you know, play up front. So depth, you know, he's got a nice skill set. Being a bigger guy, you know, can play on the edge, can rush the passer. You know, he was at Alabama. He was really a defensive end who then went down and played inside. You know, so he's playing inside for us, but he's got that experience. You know, versatility. He's a big, versatile athlete, is what he is. So those guys are always great to have.
There was so much anticipation for that defensive front in general after bringing in Snacks last year and Trey this year.
Yeah.
You know, at the quarter point of the season, what are your thoughts?
Just get them all healthy, you know. Get Mike Daniels back, you know. Get Deshaun in there. Just get them all, you know. Get them all together. Hopefully, as we start this next quarter of the season, they'll all be available and we can start to, you know, develop those guys together.
With Trey, he doesn't have the sack numbers maybe, but it does seem like he's been disrupted, especially the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's a hard charging, you know, really a hard charging, hard playing. Going back to what you said first statement, the effort, you know, his effort level is up there now, you know. So
changes things for you guys.
Yeah, well, I think that he makes a lot of, you know, he kind of silently kind of goes about his business, you know, and has had some really good production, you know, has really contributed, you know, not always maybe the fanciest, you know, deal, but really a good player, smart player.
Just to clarify something, so you expect Mike Daniels back next week?
No, I said we got to get these guys back.
Okay, you made it sound like you thought maybe they'll.
No, I have to tell you the truth. I have no idea. I'm of everybody here, probably the last guy that'll know. But what I'm saying is, I don't even know when we're getting Deshaun back. But as soon as we can get those guys all, back, it's really, really gonna help us. But when they're coming back, in all honesty, I don't know.
Paul, I'm curious. I know you guys don't pay attention to what's written about you or said about you outside of this building, but one of the analytics services has really kind of hammered the play of Jared Davis this year. I'm just curious the internal impression of what Davis has.
He brings a lot.
brought to the table.
I'd be careful. There, guy brings a lot. He's the quarterback of the defense. Does an awful lot for us. It really, really does. So, love him. Me personally, love him. No issues. Love him.
On field wise, though, is he knocking off some rust a little bit just from the monkey set up?
I don't know that. I think he's doing fine. I think he's really into the game. Played some good teams. We played some really mobile quarterbacks. All that stuff. So we're asking him to do a lot. He's doing everything he can do. So I think we're happy with him.
Can I squeeze one in about Tracy Walker? Just he's off to a pretty good start here. Statistically, I think he's doing a lot. You guys have asked him to do a lot in various games. What do you think the ceiling is for that guy? Were we just sort of seeing him scratch his?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a guy that's looking at that type of thing. To me, we're 4 games into the season. We got an awful long way to go. Tracy's only in his 2nd year. We played 16 regular season games last year, so he's got 20 under his belt. So
seems like he's doing things not a lot of guys with 20 games can do, though. So.
Yeah, he's doing well. He's doing well, but for me, he's a young developmental player who's, still developing. So, we'll just see. Hopefully he can keep playing consistent football.